Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 1:30 to 2 o'clock session of the 2024 Open Simulator Community Conference. In this session, we are pleased to introduce the presentation AI at MIT, Permeate on Speech to Text. Our speakers are Joyce Bettencourt, who is the co-founder and vice president of Avicon, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to promoting the growth, enhancement, and development of the metaverse, virtual worlds, and augmented reality in 3D immersive spaces.
Thanks.
Michael Bailey has been working with technology for the past 24 years. Originally a programmer, he discovered Second Life in 2007 and has been invested in the Open Simulator project since 2009. Jeroen Frans is an Avicon staff member, a webmaster, and a wizard for many years. Grace Zhang is a freshman MIT studying computer science with a focus in artificial intelligence. Passionate about applying machine learning to address real-world challenges, she is an active member of AI at MIT's Permeate project group. Angel Patricio is a third-year MIT student born and raised in East Los Angeles, and his interests are in machine learning, systems programming, and he's currently in a camera culture group at MIT Media Lab. Ronnie Santra is a freshman at MIT who is aiming to study artificial intelligence and hoping to use it for creating opportunities for underserved communities. And then Lobo, Cynthia Calongne, is a research scientist volunteer with Avicon and a collaborator on writing the proposal for this project. Please check out the website found at conference.opensimulator.org for speaker bios, details of the sessions, and the full schedule of events. This session is being live streamed and recorded, so if you have questions or comments during the session, you may send tweets to @OpenSimCC with the hashtag #OSCC24. Welcome, everyone. Let's begin the session.
Hello, everybody. This is don't advance the slide yet, Frans, for a second. As Lear mentioned, this is kind of a collaboration between both Avicon and AI at MIT. We were approached through MIT's IEEE student groups that were looking for possible nonprofits in Massachusetts to partner up with on various technology related things. And hold on, let me do something here so I do not hear myself. That ended up turning out to being referred to their AI at MIT group, and the work the stuff that the students are doing there, both in the activities in the club itself, and then they have a separate sort of thing called Permeate, which is their, in essence, AI for good, working with nonprofits. And we'll put the links into chat for that as well. So we started at the beginning of this semester working on a speech to text project with them that we had proposed. We had put a proposal into the initial request when they had reached out to us the first time about the possibility of speech to text. If you, Frans, want to advance the slide. So the speech to text has has the idea of communications and accessibility has been brought up a couple times already during the conference. But many of us, whether it be in social situations or classroom activities or even events like this, that concept of being accessible and having everybody be able to participate at the same way, regardless of ability, and sometimes even it might it's also even just the if somebody can't maybe can't have volume all the time or a hearing related problem, but the idea that we want things to be as accessible as possible in the work that certainly we do at Avicon. And there's a few images up here between the work that we do here in these events, like the Open Simulator Community Conference, other events that we've held, like I said, some workshops, the weekly nonprofit commons meetings, all of them. Often what it means in order to be able to be accessible to the entire event and the people around you is to have somebody transcribing live, which is great, but it's not very scalable, and it's a lot of work, as you see here. Or we've got some simple tools that people have put in play, like the Speakeasy HUD, where somebody could pre-type something out and sort of copy paste it or push that text in directly. But what we really wanted was a real-time transcription, as well as close to real time tool, and one that would hopefully be extensible, so that way it could be used not just locked into one particular platform like a Second Life or an open simulator, and maybe and also open source. So this partnering with the AI at MIT Permeate was a great opportunity for us to start working on this, with that goal that we would then, whatever comes of this, we would release that code open source, and so that way it would be both for Open Simulator and also other uses. So Frans, you can go to the next slide, and I think that will transfer us to Marcus, and he'll talk a little bit about kind of some of the process stuff that we went through so far.
Yeah, hi everybody. This is my real name is Michael Bailey. A lot of you know me as Marcus Llewelyn here. Yeah, when this project was picked up by Avicon, Joyce approached me and said, "Hey, we would really like you to be a part of this and help us plan it out." And so one of the things I did was think about the user experience. And so I went ahead and I made this big old flow chart. And it was more ambition than reality, at least at this point. But I had a whole thing here, all planned out. And the idea was that my hope was that this would help guide us and the students we were working with in order to at least have, a start, right, to get this project rolling. And if I could go to the next slide. So initially, I wanted to do something like to make this as user friendly as possible. So I had this whole idea for like a big old like setup wizard. So like that the first time that the user starts the app, it checks to see if it's the first run. It needs to ask if it's the app we wanted can either use a cloud API like OpenAI, or we also really wanted it to be able to run locally on a person's machine if they had the hardware needed to do it. And the reason for that is largely because it's really easy to say, well, why don't we just use OpenAI? I mean, they're not that expensive and all that kind of stuff, but there are privacy reasons and other reasons that somebody may not want OpenAI to have their data, for example, right? So basically this slide, which you cannot read, I am absolutely certain, but it just basically walks the user through. Are you going to be running, are you going to do the transcription locally? Are you going to do it on OpenAI? And, if you're going to do it locally, we need to download some stuff. And if you're going to connect to an API, we need you to give us your API key and all that fun stuff. And then we need to make sure to set up any audio devices so that obviously so that the application would have audio to transcribe. And once this initial wizard kind of thing was done, I envisioned it just going right then to the main UI, which will be the next slide. And we wanted to keep the main UI as clean and simple as possible. So basically, they just have a start and a stop button. There are some preferences, but that's on the next slide, and we're not there yet. So basically, it's very simple. They they make sure that their microphone is selected. They hit that start transcription button, and sure enough, text starts appearing inside of our small interface. On top of that, it's also able to send data out via an HTTP API. So, for example, and Frans will discuss this much more deeply. You could send text in world, and that would, of course, that is a big goal for us. I know we do so many conventions and sessions where where accessibility is a focus, and I often see people, who can't hear, um, kind of, people are talking in voice, and they're there, and it just doesn't work for them. So we wanted an app that would work for them. So if we can move on to the next slide. This was just all preferences, and we weren't able to complete all of this, not yet anyway. But we wanted people to do things like be able to select toggle dark and light mode, be able to choose their fonts, be able to reselect their audio device if necessary, and also settings to get those text out of the app if we want in world. And that, in a nutshell, pretty much covers what we had initially planned. Of course, we wound up with a prototype, and I will pass that on to the next person to talk about.
And that would be Ronnie.
Sure. For the actual UI, I made sure to use the raw HTML and CSS. I really wanted to focus on having a UI that is accessible to all audiences. So I had mostly a dark mode and a light mode. What you're seeing right now is the dark mode. I tried to make sure that it was dark and the only light parts were the text. And yeah, that's mostly it. I also had local storage so that if you ever closed the application for any reason, and if you came back onto the website, then it would automatically store the preferences that you had originally.
He wasn't able to make it today, unfortunately, but he did send us a video where he is speaking and showing off the prototype that we have so far. It is not perfect, but I still think that we only had a few weeks to do this, and in that case, I think it turned out pretty well. So, James, if you want to go ahead and show the video.
Hi everyone, I'm Angel and I'm a third year student at MIT. I do a lot of work in the MIT Media Lab where my research focuses on decentralizing of machine learning and AI in a data safe manner. Today I'm excited to show off a quick demo of a self-contained real-time speech-to-text system that we've been working on. It's designed to run as efficiently as possible on resource-constrained user devices by leveraging Whisper.cpp and its Python bindings for fast inference. It's packaged as a lightweight Flask app for easy setup. Our goal here was to sort of make cutting-edge speak recognition accessible and portable within the Open Simulator ecosystem without the overhead of installing massive server infrastructure for maintainers. As I speak, the model will transcribe my words on the screen, handling both everyday conversation and more technical domain-specific terms such as Bayesian inference or transformer architectures with ease. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this demo.
So you saw the app works as a separate program, but like Marcus was telling earlier, you want to actually get the text in world, right? Else everybody else has to run his own little program. So one thing that that people might not know, but OpenSim and Second Life, the scripting languages allow you to make a sort of tiny web server on your region. And it cannot present HTML, but it does allow you to like reach it, to send a message to it from outside, from a website or an application. So basically that is what I made like a prototype for doing that. And basically how we want to do it is we provide people with a script or an object, and they can just stretch that out. And that object will give you a URL, and that URL is like goes directly towards that prim. The script in the prim actually. And you will be able to put that URL in the app. And what the app then will do is, every time it is like translated a voice line to text, it will just push it to the URL, and then the prim or the object will just say it in text in the chat log. And that way, anything that's been spoken can be directly be translated to text. Right, and so you saw that URL, and like if you load such a URL, you can actually make it give you a little bit text back towards it. So if you load it, you can say, you can provide a little bit of instruction. So with it as well, and it ways also how an app could use it. Right, and it would be just like appending like in a variable at the end of your URL, similar like how if you're in a shopping cart or something, after the end of your domain, you can see all this information, and in the same way we can communicate with the objects.
Thanks, Frans. I think that's, and obviously we're trying to keep to time. You could probably put it to the last thing. And I don't know, I will say that, like, obviously this is in demand, this is ongoing. We are still, we'll be working on it. Of course, we'll be working with students still again next semester and continuing to work on this with that goal that all the code is being released anyway, so it could be implemented. However, whether it's on a simple basis where you're doing, we're talking about loading it in through scripted objects in World, or just the idea that it is it will be a standalone application that you could run on your desktop or your mobile phone and be able to just transcribe what's on your system, or regardless of if it's Open Simulator or anything like that. So it being as extensible and broadly usable as possible and open. So Lear, I don't know if you have any final thoughts. I would say reach out to us at info@avacon.org. We'll be able to share this more so once we will be able to share kind of out the GitHub once we're in a little bit better place. But back to you, Lear, if you have final thoughts.
Thanks. Sure. I'll do final thoughts and then I'm going to go straight into our closing. It was great working with the team. We wrote the proposal. We were so pleased with our collaboration and our wonderful meetings. And we want to put a shout out to the AI MIT Permeate group for a wonderful job. Well, thank you to our speakers and to Avacon for an informative and an interesting presentation. As a reminder to our audience, you will want to check out conference.opensimulator.org to see what is coming up on the conference schedule. You won't want to miss our next session, which will begin at 2 p.m. in this keynote region. And it is entitled The Virtual Education Journal, Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. Also, we encourage you to visit the OSCC24 Poster Expo in the OSCC Expo 3 region to find accompanying information on presentations and to explore the Hypergrid tour resources in OSCC Expo 2 region, along with the sponsor and crowdfunder booths located throughout all of the OSCC Expo regions. Thank you again to our speakers and to the audience.